They say it with a smile, but you feel that sting inside. That's how they do it. They hide the jab behind a laugh. The insult lands softly, because it's wrapped in comedy. But your body still flinches. Your gut still knows. Then comes the line that shuts you down. Relax, it's just a joke. That's not reassurance. That's dismissal. That's their way of saying, your feelings are the problem, not my behavior. You know the moment. The laughter in the room feels too heavy. You start wondering if you're crazy for noticing it. Everyone's smiling. You're smiling too. But inside, you're asking yourself, did that actually hurt me? Or am I being dramatic? That's the trap. They don't want you to call it disrespect. They want you to call it humor. Because humor protects them from accountability. It's the perfect disguise. It keeps their image clean, and your discomfort hidden. You might even try to laugh louder, to convince yourself it's not that deep. But the more you laugh, the more they test. Each joke gets a little sharper, a little bolder, a little more personal, until what used to sting starts to scar. They'll tell you you're too serious, but what they really mean is, you noticed. You noticed the disrespect they thought they could slip past you. You noticed the small way they try to lower you while looking playful. And when you stop laughing, they panic. Because suddenly, the mirror turns back on them. Without your laughter, they're exposed. Without your reaction, they can't pretend it's harmless. That's why they keep saying, it's just a joke. Because they need you to play along. They need your laughter to keep their cruelty looking harmless. They need your silence to make it safe for them to keep crossing the line. But here's the truth. Every joke that makes you question your worth isn't funny. It's a message in disguise. And when you finally stop laughing along, the message stops landing. Disrespect rarely walks in the front door. It slips in through the laughter. It wears charm like perfume, something pleasant enough to make you lower your guard. That's what makes it powerful. It's never obvious. It's never loud. It's calculated to sound casual, light, even funny. Because here's the truth. Mockery is the safest form of cruelty. It gives people the thrill of dominance without the risk of looking like the villain. They get to say something sharp, watch it land, see you flinch, and still claim innocence. It's just a joke. They stab, then smile, and you're supposed to laugh at the knife. Why do they do it? Because jokes are social camouflage. They let someone test how much power they have over you. They can push your limits, cross invisible lines, and when you call it out, they play the fool. What? I was only kidding. Instant reversal. Now you look uptight, overreacting, humorless, and they get to walk away clean. That's the genius of disguised disrespect. It turns the victim into the problem. It keeps the blame off them and the discomfort on you. You're the one who has to second-guess your feelings, rewrite your reactions, and smile your way through being belittled. These jokes aren't random. They're diagnostic. Every time they throw one, they're watching your face, measuring your tolerance, calculating what they can get away with. If you laugh it off, they learn something. You won't defend yourself. If you hesitate, they learn something else. You're unsure of your worth. It's all data to them. There are patterns. Mockery disguised as teasing. I'm just playing with you. Humiliation disguised as bonding. We always joke like that, right? Dominance disguised as humor. I only tease the people I like. And somehow, you're supposed to feel grateful for it. But let's be real. If a joke always makes one person smaller and another person bigger, it's not comedy. It's hierarchy. It's a reminder of who's allowed to speak freely and who has to smile through discomfort to belong. And the most dangerous part? When disrespect hides behind humor long enough, it starts to feel normal. You start adapting to it. You tell yourself, that's just how they are. You minimize your own pain to protect their comfort. That's not lightheartedness. That's conditioning. A quiet erosion of your boundaries disguised as a good time. Disguised disrespect is psychological warfare in small doses. It chips away at your confidence while making you question your perception. You start rehearsing responses in your head that you'll never say out loud. You start laughing before you even think, because that's how you've learned to stay safe. And the moment you stop laughing, they'll accuse you of changing. They'll say, "You used to be fun." What they really mean is, "You used to let me cross the line." But here's the turning point. Once you see the game, you can't unsee it. You start noticing the rhythm, the setup, the punchline, the fake innocence. You start hearing the tone beneath the laughter. And that's when everything shifts. You stop hearing jokes. You start hearing insecurity. You stop seeing humor. You start seeing hierarchy. People who constantly hide behind, "I'm just kidding," aren't funny. They're afraid. Afraid of saying how they really feel. Afraid of being vulnerable. So they weaponize wit instead. Their jokes are armor. Their laughter is a shield. And once you know that, you stop taking it personally. You stop trying to win their approval. You stop letting their jokes decide your worth. Because you finally understand, it was never about humor. It was about power. And the moment you stop laughing, you take that power back. You laugh. Not because it's funny, but because it's easier. Easier than freezing up. Easier than explaining why it bothered you. Easier than being the one who ruins the mood. That's the truth people never say out loud. Most of the time, laughter is not joy. It's survival. It's the body's way of saying, "Please don't turn on me." It's a shield you build in real time. A quick disguise that says, "I'm fine," even when something inside you has just cracked. You laugh because you don't want to make it awkward. You laugh because, and everyone else is. You laugh because you were taught that keeping the peace is more important than keeping your dignity. And somewhere along the way, that became normal. You start to believe it's your job to absorb discomfort, to make other people's disrespect easier to digest. You start to believe that being easygoing means laughing at what hurts you. But think about it. Why do they always say, "You can't take a joke"? But never ask themselves why they needed to make one at your expense. Why is it that their comfort matters more than your dignity? Because the moment you stop laughing, you stop protecting their ego. And that's when they feel the heat of their own words. You laugh to keep the room calm. You laugh to keep your place in the circle. You laugh to make others comfortable, even when you're burning inside. Because silence feels dangerous. Because confrontation feels like chaos. Because somewhere deep down, you learn that being liked keeps you safe. It starts young. People tease, you're told to laugh it off. Teachers, parents, friends, they all reinforce the same message. If you react, you're weak. If you show hurt, you lose. So you bury it. You practice composure until it becomes instinct. Until your first response to disrespect is a smile. But every fake laugh leaves a mark. A small betrayal of yourself. A tiny message your body hears. My feelings don't matter as much as keeping everyone happy. And the more you do it, the more it sticks. You begin to measure your worth by how easy you are to handle. That's why people stay stuck in toxic groups, toxic friendships, toxic rooms. because they've been trained to equate acceptance with tolerance. They think being invited to the joke means being included. But inclusion built on humiliation is not belonging. It's quiet submission dressed up as fun. And there's another layer: guilt. You start feeling bad for even thinking it wasn't funny. You question your tone, your reaction, your memory. You rewrite the scene in your head just to make them right. Because that's what emotional manipulation does. It flips the roles. It makes you carry the responsibility for their behavior. So you laugh, again and again, until one day you realize that the laughter doesn't sound like you anymore. It sounds hollow. It sounds rehearsed. It sounds like someone who's performing calmness to survive. And here's the moment everything changes. When you finally sit with that feeling, the quiet ache of all the times you laughed when you wanted to speak, you start to feel something else underneath it. Not anger, not sadness, but clarity. You start realizing that your seriousness isn't the problem. Your silence isn't awkward. It's honest. And maybe for the first time, you understand that you were never too sensitive. You were just surrounded by people who were too careless with your sensitivity. So no, you don't laugh anymore to stay safe. You stop laughing because you've outgrown the performance. Because peace built on pretense isn't peace. It's quiet self-abandonment. And you're done abandoning yourself to make others comfortable. You don't laugh because you're uptight. You stop laughing because you finally learned the difference between being included and being respected. It starts the moment you stop reacting automatically. The moment you stop rushing to laugh, to smooth things over, to pretend you didn't notice. Because that pause, that tiny space between what they say and how you respond, that's where your power lives. Seeing through the game means slowing it all down. It means stepping out of the spell of performance that keeps everyone pretending. Because disrespect disguised as humor only works when you play your part. When you laugh, when you deflect, when you let it slide. The first step is simple, but not easy. Notice. Notice what happens in your body when they joke. Do your shoulders tighten? Does your stomach sink? Does something inside you whisper that didn't feel right? That's not overreaction. That's your nervous system telling the truth before your mind can excuse it. Start asking yourself, was that joke to connect with me? Or to cut me? Did they make fun of my traits? Or share a laugh we both enjoyed? Would they still say that if I didn't laugh? When you start paying attention, patterns reveal themselves. You notice the tone they use, the way the room watches your reaction. You notice how the joke always lands on you, not with you. You notice that their laughter always needs your discomfort to survive. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. The game starts to lose its magic. You realize that humor isn't neutral. It always points somewhere. It either builds connection or builds hierarchy. It either lifts both people or puts one below the other. You'll start to see three kinds of jokers. The harmless ones who tease with warmth, who include you in the laugh. The insecure ones who tease to feel taller. And the manipulative ones who tease to test how much they can chip away at you while still calling it fun. And here's the twist. The more aware you become, the quieter you get. You stop forcing laughs. You stop performing politeness. You let the silence stretch after their comment. And suddenly, they don't know where to put their smile. You'll see it in their eyes. That flicker of panic when their joke doesn't land. Because without your reaction, they have no cover. Without your laugh, the humor stands alone, naked and awkward, the way it always should have been. And the people around you, they feel it too. Because truth has a strange power. It shifts the energy in a room even when you say nothing. That silence is a mirror. It shows everyone who is laughing out of habit and who is laughing out of cruelty. Seeing through the game doesn't mean you become hostile. It means you stop pretending. It means you can look someone in the eye and say calmly, "That wasn't funny to me." Or even say nothing at all, because silence itself is an answer. And when you stop participating, their power dissolves. They can only manipulate what you're willing to co-sign. Once you stop signing off on your own discomfort, the game ends. That's the power of awareness. It doesn't shout, it doesn't attack, it just sees. And once you see, you can never be fooled by the same trick again. Because every disguised insult depends on one thing: your confusion. And the moment you stop confusing cruelty for humor, you step out of the illusion completely. You stop taking it personally. You start seeing it clearly. And when you see clearly, you stop playing their game. You play yours, the quiet one, the one where dignity speaks louder than laughter. You don't need a speech. You don't need a scene. You don't even need anger. All you need is the decision: I'm done pretending this is funny. That's where it begins. Not in confrontation, but in clarity. Because silence, when it's grounded in self-respect, is not weakness. It's gravity. It pulls the truth out of the air and drops it on the table for everyone to see. So when the joke lands and you feel that sting, pause. Don't rush to make it easier for them. Don't cover the discomfort with a nervous laugh. Let the air thicken. Let the silence grow. It's not your job to protect them from what they just created. If you want to speak, keep it simple. That wasn't funny to me. No explanation, no debate. Because the more you justify your boundary, the smaller it sounds. Boundaries don't need decoration. They just need delivery. And when you say it, stay calm. Don't raise your voice. Don't mirror their tone. They expect anger. That's the game. Because if you get angry, they can shift the blame back to you. Whoa, chill, I was kidding. But calmness traps them. It exposes the reality that their joke wasn't harmless. It was one-sided. Sometimes you won't even need words. Your silence will speak for you. A quiet stare, a neutral face, a refusal to join in. It's astonishing how fast funny stops being funny when the target doesn't laugh. Let them feel that silence. Let it hang in the air long enough for them to realize the comfort they used to have at your expense is gone. That's how you retrain people. Not by shouting, but by withdrawing the reward. Because your laugh was the reward. It told them they could keep doing it. It told them their words had power over you. When you stop giving that away, they lose their stage. And yes, it will feel awkward at first. It will feel heavy, because silence has weight. Especially in rooms used to your compliance. But you'll start to notice something. Awkwardness doesn't last nearly as long as regret. And this time, you'll walk away knowing you didn't abandon yourself to make others comfortable. Start small. You don't have to confront everyone who crosses the line. You can begin with a quiet refusal. The still face, the calm tone, the absence of approval. Each moment you choose not to laugh at what hurts you, you reinforce a new truth. My comfort matters too. And people will respond in two ways. Some will get defensive, mock you again, test you harder, because your silence exposes their insecurity. But others, the real ones, will pause. They'll notice. They'll realize they crossed something sacred. Those are the ones who will shift with you. Stopping the performance isn't about punishing anyone. It's about reclaiming your side of the exchange. It's about saying through your actions, I'm no longer part of this act. And slowly, the people who rely on your silence will fade, because you're no longer a safe audience for their cruelty. You've changed the script without saying a word. So when the next joke comes your way, breathe. Don't rush to play along. Don't explain. Don't defend. Just let the truth sit there, unmasked, unbent, undeniable. That's how power returns, not through noise, but through the quiet courage to stop laughing at what isn't funny anymore. Because when you stop laughing along, you're not killing the mood. You're protecting your peace. And peace will always be more important than performance. Something strange happens when you stop laughing. The room feels different. The air gets heavier. Because for the first time, they can hear themselves without your laugh to soften the sound. That's when the shift begins. At first, they don't know what to do with it. They'll look at you, waiting, as if your silence is the punchline they're missing. When it doesn't come, you'll see it. That flicker of confusion behind their smirk. They thought they had you figured out. You were predictable, easy, polite. You always laughed. You always gave them permission to keep crossing the line. Now, you've broken the rhythm. And people who rely on control don't handle broken rhythms well. They'll test you. They'll double down, make another joke. Sharper this time, to see if the old you is still in there somewhere. The one who used to laugh it off. When you don't, they'll panic. They'll accuse you of changing. They'll say you've become distant, cold, too serious. But listen closely. That's not truth. That's fear. Because they can no longer get away with the old version of you. They've lost the comfort of disrespect. See? When you stop laughing, you remove their cover. You take away the illusion that it was mutual. Now it's one-sided. And they know it. They feel the imbalance that was always there but hidden under laughter. And it makes them uncomfortable. Because now, they have to feel what you used to feel. And here's what's powerful. Your silence makes them confront themselves. For the first time, their humor isn't landing. It's echoing. The echo of their own words becomes unbearable. That's why they'll label you as boring, rigid, uptight. Because name-calling is the last defense of people losing power. They'll try to guilt you back into the old role. The agreeable one, the forgiving one, the performer. But hold your ground. Because when the performance ends, the truth begins. And something else starts to happen. The people who were quietly watching, the ones who never spoke up when you were mocked, they'll notice the shift too. Your calm will wake something up in them. They'll see what self-respect looks like in motion. They'll see that you didn't explode, didn't argue, didn't defend. You simply stopped entertaining disrespect. That energy is magnetic. It separates those who needed your weakness from those who respect your strength. It filters your environment without you having to lift a finger. Because when you change your frequency, people who thrive on chaos can't tune in anymore. You start attracting people who speak with clarity, who laugh with you, not at you. You start meeting people who understand humor doesn't require harm. And suddenly, your circle feels lighter. Your laughter feels real again, not forced, not strategic. It comes from safety, not survival. That's the energy shift they won't expect. Because they thought your silence was surrender. But it was actually evolution. They thought your seriousness was tension. But it was truth solidifying in your spine. You're no longer trying to be liked. You're standing to be respected. and people who mistake the two will fall away. Let them.